In Cedar Park, Texas, a $1 million church expansion is creating tension between homeowners and faith leaders. This week on Inside the Investigation, investigative reporter Taylor Alanis breaks down why the neighborhood fears the church's growth will hurt their property values. Welcome to Inside the Investigation. I'm Kelly Wiley, and I'm here with our newest investigator, Taylor Alanis. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Kelly. I'm excited to be here, per usual. I mean, this is my second one only.
Is it your second?
Yes.
Well, I'm excited to talk about this because every time you do these stories on property rights or eminent domain, we get so much engagement, so many people who are tuning in, even when it's not their neighborhood. Why do you think that is? Why do you think so many people are interested in this subject?
Well, I think a lot of people are homeowners. And if you personally aren't a homeowner, you have a family member or a friend that owns a home. And owning a home is one of the biggest accomplishments you can have. And so when something affects your home, which is supposed to be a place of peace and love, when something's interrupting that, of course, it's going to affect a lot of people.
Yeah, and I mean, I think so many neighborhoods are changing, so many areas of the city are changing, and people, you sign up for one thing and then it's just changing all around you.
I have learned so much about property rights doing these last couple of stories. I feel almost like I'm becoming an expert in it.
Well, we love it. We're going to pull on your expertise today. Your story focuses on a church that's expanding in Cedar Park, and homeowners are not happy about it, which is, churches, you wouldn't necessarily think that would be the case, but why is that?
Right. So they're worried about parking and traffic. This was a church that was in a small house, and then it decided to expand and build a bigger building. So when the homeowners found out about that, it wasn't through any kind of formal avenue. It wasn't until they saw these big trucks coming into their neighborhood, and the traffic's gotten worse, the parking's gotten worse, and now that there's an expansion, they're expecting more people to go to the church. So,
give us an idea of this. How big is the church going to be? Like, how much bigger is it?
It's big, and if you've seen the package, at first you'll see the church, but you don't really notice how big it is until you see the church's drone shots that they took of it. So it takes up about 3 lots, and it's just it looks just like it came out of the middle of nowhere because it is in like a residential neighborhood, and then you see this giant white $1 million building out of nowhere.
What's the background? Why does the church want to expand? They have more membership? Why are they doing this?
So, like I said, in 2009, they actually bought that land and they were operating out of a small house. It's called the St. Mary Romanian Orthodox Church. So it's a very niche church that didn't have a huge following at that point. But the priest told me that their intention was always to build a real Orthodox church. It was just a matter of time, fundraising, and growing their congregation. So it's been quite some time since 2009, and now they had enough money and enough people to be able to build this church.
Your story, it focuses kind of on what zoning, essentially, like what was supposed to be in this area and how maybe this new expansion is not necessarily in line with that. Explain that for us.
So in 2007, before the church owned this land, some neighbors decided they wanted to designate part of that land as an open space green belt, or what is commonly known as a green belt. And they wanted it as a kind of buffer between their homes and the residential area that's behind the neighborhood. Since then, there's been a Raising Cane's there. There's an H-E-B across the street. So there's been a lot of development to the side of the neighborhood, but not so much in the neighborhood. And this space was supposed to be a little bit of a buffer between that. So when the church came in and bought that land, they were operating out of a small home. The space was still there as a green space, so anyone could use it. Well, now that the church expanded, they're using that green belt as part, I think half of the church is now built on that green belt. So there were some neighbors that were quite upset because they thought that this green belt should have been protected and should have remained there for their neighborhood.
Is there is it at this point just kind of a stalemate where the neighborhood doesn't love it and the church is going to do what they're going to do, or is there more happening there? Is there anything that the neighbors are trying to do?
Unfortunately for the neighbors, and again, there are some neighbors that are completely fine with this church being built, and then there are some that are upset because they see this giant church, they see traffic and parking, people are parking in front of, their driveways, and that's when it was smaller. So as you can imagine, if it is bigger, there's going to be more people and more cars. They are, concerned about that. There's really not much they can do. They are hopefully building a relationship with the church leaders so they can have a mutual understanding of maybe how parking should be or what they're going to do traffic-wise going forward.
So I'm even thinking about where I live and my friends, like you were mentioning earlier, who are experiencing other versions of this wherever they're living. Is there a takeaway? And if so, what is that?
I think there is. I think it's really understanding zoning in your area and also understanding federal law, because again, just because maybe a city says, okay, this space is designated as a certain space where only certain businesses or only certain residents can build, federally, can there be something else built there? I think it's important when you're looking at a neighborhood to look at, again, zoning, look at your HOA laws, talk to your neighbors and possibly city officials on what their plan is in the future when it comes to building in that area.
So really all you can do is like more so if you're looking to buy, to really understand the area that you're in. If you're buying because you're like, I love this green space and I love how quiet it is, then we have this buffer here, you might need to be looking almost like ahead a bit to see what can be.
Just make yourself more aware and educate yourself on the area that you're moving to. Can you see development happening? But in this case, it's kind of hard because they were, in a residential church. I'm sure they weren't expecting there to be a larger church in the future. So you never know.
And I know you're carving out your beat, like in our newsroom and in Austin. And so people, if there's something that you have a question about along the lines of property rights, along the lines of eminent domain, and just as somebody maybe hunting for a home, feel free to email us, email Taylor, because you're always looking for stories.
Yes, and it's Taylor, Taylor, Alanis, Alanis at KXAN.com. And please email me if you have any questions or if you have a similar situation that's happening, because we are still learning a lot about the subject, especially me, and it's always nice to get other people's perspectives on it.
Texas is growing, so there's lots to report on in that space. Taylor, thank you so much, and thank you guys for watching. You can watch all new episodes of Inside the Investigation on the KXAN Plus app every Friday starting at 1. Just search for KXAN on your preferred streaming devices, such as Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. You can also listen to our podcast, where we feature audio versions of our weekly Inside the Investigations episodes. You can find new episodes every Saturday morning wherever you get podcasts. Thanks again for joining us.